What question are you asked often that you hate answering? Hey, how are you? Why the fuck do you want to know? Who are you and why are you in my house? Did you understand your rights? So who do you live with? What are you reading? So who are you dating? Why should I answer that? As a closeted lesbian, I hated when people asked me my boyfriend ka na or kailan ka mag-asawa. Hustle. Why don't you look at society? No one is. Are you woke? Why have you lost so much yag? And also veil at how I don't look as good anymore compared to before just makes my day. What's wrong? Every fucking day. When are you getting pregnant? At the moment. Are you happy? Is that your natural hair color? You're really, it's sarcasm. What's a situation that most people won't understand until they've been in the same situation themselves? Growing up in an abusive home environment. It's in the past. Forget about it. No, it gets imprinted on your brain. Taking care of a parent with dementia. Being disabled. Having abusive parents. Completely skews your perception of normal. To this day, I'll relate something I thought was normal or funny and be met with looks of horror. Severe burnout, like full fugue state mental shutdown. Tried describing it to some folks, and they just can't comprehend that level of chronic stress and exhaustion. Watching a movie or taking a day off is not going to help at that point. Just to answer my own question, I'd say losing a loved one to suicide. In 50 years, old people will be much better at tech than young people instead of the other way around. I think we are kin to seeing this right now. No. I'm 28, my 10-year-old nephew doesn't even know how to plug in a gaming system. Ma, if I could do that shit with my eyes closed at 7. I'm a boomer. This is pretty well what some of us said 50 years ago. Note, I said some of us. Most of us just lauded at people who were being so silly. I've been in it for decades. We were told the users would get better by now. I'm not seeing it. I don't see how. The issue with technology is that it's constantly evolving, so the things we are good at now may seem like ancient tech to kids 50 years from now. Do not speak the ancient words to me. I was there when the tomes were written. What are you starting to hate as you get older? Loud noises. Ads. I used to accept them as just part of life. Now I'd rather not watch whatever it is at all if there's going to be ads in it. Having to figure out what to eat every day. The internet. I feel like I grew up with the internet with all of its quirks and oddities, but now it has become segmented into the major platforms, and the majority of online conversation feels increasingly negative. How people drive. My malfunctioning body. Honestly. Online job applications. Loud noises. Music in restaurants, especially if it's really loud. Yelling and or screaming. Loud vehicles. To be fair, I've always disliked loud noise, but it's like it wounds my soul now. Traffic. I have no patience for traffic. Age-related health conditions. Excessive noise of any kind. How expensive groceries are. Most of society. Who are the evil people that won in history? Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor of death. He drowned after having a stroke in 1979. Pol Pot got to die in his sleep in 1998. He deserved far worse. Jimmy Savile. One of his victims once escaped him, ran into the lobby and shouted that Savile was attempting to assault her. The people there simply laughed and mocked her. Pol Pot got to grow old after slaughtering millions. The guys that tortured Junko Man who killed Rene Harteveldt. Pol Pot He died in exile, if I remember right. Leopold II, Nobsuke Kishi, rapist of Manchuria and twice Prime Minister of Japan. Idi Amin of Uganda. The answer is the Sacklers. A lot of these comments aren't people who won, but people who lost and just didn't get the punishment people thought they a real evil winner. Try the Dole Company and what they did with Hawaii. I haven't seen Nestle. The House of Sod. What is slowly killing people without their knowledge? Lack of sleep, poor diet, lack of exercise. Stress, lack of exercise, sedentary lifestyle, bad sleep hygiene. So overlooked as a danger, and as a matter of fact, even glorified because you are apparently cool that you sleep is the bad news. There is no body adaptation to this, and the nature has figured out to adapt because we are the only species dumb enough to do this. Loneliness. Seriously, people, we don't just do better when we cooperate in groups. We need extensive contact with a small group of other people to stay healthy. How many of us are starved for touch, for hugs and cuddling, for the sound of the voices of our loved ones? Loneliness kills just as sure as heart disease does. Birthday cake. I know someone who had some every year, and eventually it killed him. Alcohol, shortening telomeres, time, microplastic, sugar. How did the State of the Union SOTU speech by President Biden go according to you? Watch it on C-SPAN if you haven't watched it yet. Don't listen to pundits. Watch it uncut and see Biden for yourself. Edit C-SPAN link. Hands down best moment is when he was talking about the bipartisan border deal and the gaggle got itself into a heckle. Did you see the Speaker of the House nod in disgust to everything Biden says? I want to raise teacher salaries. Well, yeah, so do I. Meanwhile, in Tulsa, the city is voting on raising the mayor's salary from year to because you know inflation. I applauded at my screen when he talked about removing junk fees, specifically when he said he was going to make cable companies and ticket companies show the final cost at the beginning. The rebuttal by Katie Britt was epic. It was like a Stephen King demon trying to reassure everyone she was human and not going to eat your liver when you fall asleep. If you died as an atheist and then met God, what would you say to him? Oh, hey, where have you been? Holy shit, God from Bible. You won't believe what people down there are doing in your name. Or, you need a better team. So, I'm genuinely as shocked as you are. After almost 5 years working with pediatric neurosurgery, I would just ask why. You take constructive criticism. You don't look like Alanis Morissette. I'd like to talk to your manager, please. Good job on boobs, big fan. Well, well, well. Damn, that's crazy. I was just about to call you. Well, sheet. Well, you've got a lot of fucking explaining to do. I mean, I'd give him a chance to explain. People always assume God is all-powerful, but that could be totally wrong, and if that's true, fair enough. Which of all the gods that humans have believed in was closest to you? Men, who do you confide in 100? For me, no one. Not even close to a 100. Absolutely no one. There's no one I trust enough to be 100 open and honest with about everything. As a basic understanding of being a man. Nobody. Just bottle that shit up. Colonel Sanders and his delicious chicken. My mother's grave. No one. My sister and Reddit. Myself, no one else. No one. No one. I've been burned a few too many times. Myself and Reddit. My 2 male best friends. Gotta have close confidants. My parents. My wife. Me, myself, and I. Reddit, guess nobody gives a f except you. Trust has been easily lost throughout the decades I've been alive. I used to have one person, but he's been busy with his life. I'll tell you if it ever happens. I only have two people in my life like that, and they are the only people in my life. My two cousins. What is the worst lie you've been told your whole life? It's fixed in the next release. Your father wouldn't do that. We're like a family. Multiple companies I have worked for. That jobs would look at my middle high school discipline records. That if I get good grades and go to college, I can avoid having to scrub toilets for other people. Ignore bullies, they'll get bored. My older sister told me that I was adopted, huh? I grew up in an Italian family. When I was about 14 years old, I asked why they had a single long nail on their hand, and more specifically the pinky. They all told me it was because it made picking their nose easier. I believed this into my late March 24th, 2024, till one day my co-workers informed me that it's a coke nail, then it all made sense. $1,000 is to a millionaire what $1 million is to a billionaire. Well, it's like they asked the difference between a millionaire and $1 billion. Funny how money works. Like I can spend $50 on dinner tonight and not miss it. Meanwhile, there are plu who can't spend $10 on dinner w breaking the bank. Meanwhile, there are plu can pay for 10 meals at a five-star restaurant and forget about it the next day. A stack of 1 million US pennies is A stack of 1 billion US pennies is A stack of 1 trillion US pennies is max farther than the moon. $1 is to 1,000 or most people what $1,000 is to a millionaire, which is what $1 million is to a billionaire. If you are only talking about proportionality of net worth, sure, but not in a lot of other ways. 3 orders of magnitude. What's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? Answer: about $1 billion. Basic math shower our shower thoughts. What is the most obvious sign a couple won't last long? After I was married about 3 years, a coworker that had been married for a few months asked how long we lasted before we ran out of stuff to talk about. I figured that was bad sign. Different argument styles. Shows contempt for spouse. Talks shit about each other to friends. They casually show signs that they don't respect each other. It can be a lot of eye-rolling, mocking, condescending laugh, casually saying you're so stupid, embarrassing in front of friends. Having a kid will bring us closer together and things will get better. When they act as though they don't like or respect you. And when you point that out, they say you're being too sensitive. When one person really wants a threesome and the other person really doesn't want a threesome. See their conflict resolution process. One does not listen when one talks. Look at their face when they get a phone call from the other person. Tells you all you need to know.